Today, we are diving deep into one of the most interesting and honestly complex personality types out there. We're going to get inside the mind of the INTP, otherwise known as the thinker. So, let me just start by asking you something. Do you ever feel like you're living your life up here in your head, exploring all these wild ideas, while the rest of the world is just kind of happening around you? And what about when a really tricky problem shows up? Is your immediate reaction to just find a quiet space, shut the door, and wrestle with it by yourself? Just you and the puzzle? And are you the person who questions, well, pretty much everything? Authority, traditions, things that people just accept without a second thought? Do you have that little voice that's always asking, yeah, but why? Or, wait, how does that actually work? You know, if you're nodding along to this, you've probably spent a lot of your life feeling a little different. But what if those things aren't just weird quirks? What if they're actually the core features of an incredibly powerful intellectual engine? Let's break down what that really means. So in this first part, we are going to decode the INTP mind. We're going to look at the underlying system, the internal code, really, that powers this unique way of seeing the world. Okay, so what exactly is an INTP? Well, using frameworks like the Myers-Briggs system, it's an acronym for one of 16 personality types. And their nicknames, the thinker or the architect, are spot on. At their core, these are logical, analytical people who truly live in a world of ideas. So let's break that code down letter by letter. The I is for introvert, which simply means they recharge their batteries by spending time alone. N is for intuition, so they're always looking at the big picture, the abstract patterns, and what could be. T stands for thinking, meaning logic and reason are their compass, way more than feelings are. And finally, P is for perceiving, which means they love freedom, flexibility, and keeping their options open. Rigid plans? Not so much. This quote absolutely nails it. Thinking of the INTP mind as a laboratory is the perfect metaphor. It's this internal space where they're constantly running experiments on ideas, analyzing everything, and asking why, way past the point where most people would have just accepted it and moved on. So if their mind is a laboratory, what's it actually creating? Let's take a look at the architect's blueprint, the built-in strengths, and of course, the challenges that come with having a brain that's wired like this. And this right here perfectly shows the two sides of that INTP coin. On one side, their mind is this incredible deep engine. It's highly logical, super creative, and it can pick up complex topics like you wouldn't believe. They see patterns that everybody else misses. But when that engine is just idling, it can get into trouble. That's when you see the overthinking, the procrastination, and yeah, losing interest in something the second it's been solved in their head, even if it hasn't been built in the real world yet. So we've gone through the internal wiring, but how does all of this actually show up in the real world? This next part is all about the thinker in society, what they're like at work, in relationships, and even just in a simple conversation. This phrase is basically the secret to happiness for an INTP at work. It's not about a specific job title, it's all about the environment. They need a sandbox where their brain can play, not a cage built out of repetitive tasks and a million strict rules. And that naturally leads to careers just like these. See the theme here? Programming, science, data analysis, design. Every single one is about building systems, cracking complex puzzles, and creating something new out of pure thought. The common thread? It's all about the ideas, not just mind-numbing execution. And this is a big one. This is where INTPs get misunderstood all the time. Their communication can come across as rude or detached, but that's because they value direct, logical truth over social fluff. They're not trying to be mean, they're just being precise. They're trying to skip the small talk to get to the good stuff, the big ideas. So, if you're an INTP, you might be thinking, okay, great, I've got this supercomputer in my skull, but how do I keep from getting stuck inside of it? Let's talk about growth, a real practical plan for turning all that brilliant thinking into real-world impact. Honestly, the biggest hurdle for an INTP is closing that gap between a brilliant thought and a finished product. The key is to break things down. Instead of just having some massive abstract idea, set tiny, actionable goals. Practice the discipline of actually finishing things, not just starting a million of them. That's what turns a thinker into a true creator. And really, that's the ultimate goal here, balance. This isn't about changing who you are at your core. It's about adding new tools to your toolkit. When an INTP can combine their powerful mind with consistent action and their deep logic with an understanding of emotion, well, they become pretty much unstoppable. And hey, they're in some pretty amazing company. Just think about people like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, even Bill Gates. These are individuals who didn't just have world-changing ideas. They followed through, they built the systems, and they fundamentally altered our reality by daring to think differently. So we'll leave you with this thought. If you're an INTP, your mind is a laboratory filled with literally unlimited potential. The only real question left is, what are you going to choose to discover?
एक कदम विकसित भारत की ओर।